Well, happy Thursday afternoon to everybody out there as we prepare for the weekend ahead, a holiday weekend. We're excited to celebrate all of the dads out there as Father's Day approaches this Sunday. Thanks so much for joining us here on KOIN Now. I'm Meteorologist Josh Cozart, and we have a lot to unpack because this is likely going to be kind of an active week of weather for us. We go from the sunny, dry, and warm temperatures that we're experiencing today back down to some cooler, wetter, almost April, if not May-like weather for much of the Pacific Northwest. So we'll go ahead, we'll dive right into all of this and unpack your weekend plans for you. Thanks so much again for joining us. You can watch us right now live at KOIN.com. You can also check us out on YouTube Live and, of course, right here on Facebook, where we will continue the weather conversation. But, boy, it doesn't get much better than this. A beautiful live look out over downtown Portland. Mount Hood there off in the distance. This is from our Subaru KOIN Tower camera. Hardly any sky coverage as far as the clouds go, but we are definitely holding on to a bit of that haze as those temperatures are already starting to warm up. 72 degrees right now for your latest afternoon update, and we are seeing those winds out of the west-northwest at about 13 miles per hour. So slightly on the breezier side for us, but go ahead, soak up the sunshine right now while it lasts because it's not expected to take us into Friday, Saturday, or even into Sunday. So now's the time to kind of prepare and enjoy the last of the summer-like weather as we are now just about a week or so out from the summer season. So as far as this afternoon and evening goes, maybe you're heading out for an early lunch or a late lunch, I should say, an early dinner. Expect to see those temperatures still warming back up into the mid-70s for many of us. And then right around sunset or so, we start to slide back into the mid-60s. A little bit more of that cloud coverage for many of us. And it's that cloud coverage that will eventually lead way to cooler Friday temperatures, cooler Saturday, Father's Day temperatures, and even the chance for some wet weather to once again return to much of the Pacific Northwest. Now, if you're an allergy sufferer like I am, this is maybe less than ideal. Seeing high pollen counts, not only for today, but again Friday, and we do expect to see on Saturday a little bit of a dip. So if there's any day to maybe miss out on the allergy medication, it's going to be Saturday and again Monday, and it just so happens that those are the 2 days where we have a better chance for seeing the return of some wet weather. It kind of puts a little bit of a damper on a lot of the pollen. It brings it back down to the surface, and it kind of stops a lot of those grasses that we see here along the Willamette Valley from actually being able to spread the pollen even into our atmosphere. Is again just beautiful live look out over Portland right now, and we are expecting to have some great swim weather. You got to keep in mind we're about a week or so out from the summer season, so a lot of kiddos getting out of school as well. Take them to the pool this afternoon. This is going to be your day to do it as we expect to see those temperatures still on the warming trend. Right now we're in the low 70s, but likely to get back up to the mid-upper 70s before those upper 60s start to take over once again, and the winds relatively on the calmer side, but breezy at times out of the north-northwest to the west-northwest. It's all kind of coming out of the same direction as we prepare for this next storm system. As all is calm, quiet, and clear right now, you got those high, thin cirrus clouds maybe just filtering out some of the harshest of the sun's rays. You can see a little bit more of that cloud coverage just below me with the seaside camera. And we are expecting to see that cloud coverage become a little bit more persistent, a little bit more widespread. It's going to reduce the UV index. So if you got maybe a weekend trip out to the coastline, still wear the sunscreen, even if it is going to be on the cloudier side. But overall, it's going to be shaping up to be a nice Friday for you. But we've got our eyes on the next storm system already spinning over the Gulf of Alaska. You can really see it here. Some nice low pressure system will kind of bring you in right here. And this is kind of a cool thing, just in case you all are unaware. I am controlling all of these graphics myself. The camera's just sitting on us, and we're doing all of this right behind our brand new KOIN studio. It's really kind of cool, the technology that we're able to bring you all of this information with. So let's go ahead. We'll grab our drawing tool right here. This is where our low pressure system is currently located, and it's spinning counterclockwise. So that means that all of those winds are kind of moving in that direction, and we'll continue to see them eventually transition a little bit more out of the south-southwest as we move through the next several days. This is going to help to bring in and funnel in some cooler temperatures. So we're talking about daytime highs into the 60s for many of us. Yeah, the 60s. It's June. We're a week out or less than a week out by the time we get to the 60s from the official start of the summer season. Now, us meteorologists, we're a little bit on the unique side of things, and we like to celebrate the first day of summer on June 1st. That's meteorological summer. But regardless of what day you celebrate, we should be on the warmer side. Our average temperature in the Portland metro area, typically right around the mid-70s for this time of year. So we definitely like to see ourselves back in that area. That way it really kind of feels like the summer season for us once again. But here's our temperature trend. You'll notice as that low pressure system moves its way into our area, sliding us back into the 70s, 60s for Saturday, Sunday mid-60s, and then we gradually crawl back out of the cooler than average temperatures. That's going to be putting us back to above average conditions. Again, 74 degrees. That's our average daytime high for today. Expecting to top out at about 82 degrees 1 week from today. So if you like the rain, this is the forecast for you. If you like the warmer temperatures, this is the forecast for you as well. You just got to pack your patience, push it off a little bit into the start and the middle of next week. So there is some good information. And I don't want to neglect to say this too. We're live on Facebook right now. I've got it pulled up on one of our computers here. Feel free, ask any questions that you might have about this upcoming weekend, because we're just about ready to dive into some of the active weather that could potentially be impacting your outdoor Father's Day plans. So just kind of keep that in mind. And that's all because of this upper level low pressure system. It's already developing over the Gulf of Alaska and taking aim at much of the Pacific Northwest. This is going to not only be ushering in those cooler temperatures, but also the rain potential. And this is good news. Yes, maybe you're a summer lover like I am, and I really long for those dry, sunny days. But I also like to see the rain showers return, because that helps to decrease the fire potential, keep those temperatures cooler and our landscape moist, and kind of slows the melting process over the high terrain of the Cascades as well. So all of that is going to be very beneficial for us. And it just so happens that this very shallow trough settles right over the Pacific Northwest, bringing us just that, a little bit of relief from the heat and the dry spell that we've been experiencing now for about the past 9 days or so. The next 6 to 10 days, well, that's where we expect to see the wet weather once again return to much of the Pacific Northwest. And this is a trend that will likely take us into the end of the month of June. But with that also comes the thunderstorm potential. So this is kind of what we were talking about, where we could potentially see some of the active weather. When thunder roars, head indoors. That's what the National Weather Service always tries to ingrain in our minds, and it is a good safety tip for many of us. Maybe dad's getting a getaway on Saturday. Maybe he's going out to the golf course. Maybe he's firing up the barbecue. Whether it be any outdoor physical activity or relaxation, if a thunderstorm approaches your area, you need to make sure that you seek shelter indoors or in a vehicle to stay safe from the threat of lightning, because that's going to be the biggest threat with these garden variety storms. Nothing is likely to turn severe, and if anything, it's primarily going to be out towards the western half of Washington, the northern sections of Washington. But the green shaded area that you're seeing right here, that's really just kind of a guidance for us. It's not the end-all be-all. We could potentially see an isolated thunderstorm or two roll out of that area. It is a very real likelihood. So just keep that in mind. This is a little bit of a guidance to show us that some active weather could potentially be returning to the Pacific Northwest once again. So do keep that in mind as we time it all out for you right here tonight. Expecting to see those clouds starting to increase. If anything, that would kind of put a bit of a damper on our temperature drop, falling into the upper 40s or so for this evening and towards sunrise tomorrow. But tomorrow morning, it's going to be a bit of some weather whiplash for us. Overall, the trend is cooler temperatures, but we also expect to see maybe a raindrop or two along the coast. It's not going to be a completely dry day for us, so just keep that in mind if you are traveling out that direction, that we expect to see maybe an isolated raindrop or two. This is a timestamp of about 6 o'clock for tomorrow. You'll notice that that front starts to swing through, all part of that low pressure system that we were talking about, and then we start to see maybe a raindrop or two even into the late afternoon and evening hours for the I-5 corridor, parts of southwest Washington, Clark County, Vancouver, all places that, again, not a washout, but could see an isolated shower. And then things start to ramp up with intensity a little bit. Come about 5 a.m. on Saturday, you'll notice some of those yellows and oranges, a good indication where we could potentially see some thunderstorm activity start to crop up once again. Again, it could be anything from maybe just a bolt of lightning. Maybe you hear a rumble of thunder off in the distance. Small hail, non-damaging, and gusty winds, and of course, heavy downpours associated with some of these stronger cells, and very scattered in nature. You might be able to pick up on a dry spot here and there throughout the afternoon hours on Saturday, enjoying the sunshine. And if we actually get enough of that sunshine, that's where we could potentially see some of those thunderstorms become a little bit on the stronger end of things. If you keep the cloud coverage overhead, that sometimes helps to keep us cooler and what we call convective activity at bay. So that's the bubbling up of the atmosphere. You don't get that as much if you don't see those dry breaks. So if it stays cloudy on Saturday, the chance of thunderstorms is less. If you start to see some of those sun breaks in the afternoon, that's where the thunderstorm potential starts to rise ever so slightly. So that's kind of a good way of gauging it. Regardless, we're going to be seeing rain here across the Pacific Northwest. If you do have those outdoor activities for Father's Day, I really do not anticipate that we expect to see any of the wet weather become very aggressive. If anything, we'll fill up some of our rain gauges to a couple of 1/100ths of an inch to maybe a 1/10 of an inch to maybe a 1/4 of an inch by the time we roll into Sunday, because a few of those lingering showers have the potential to take us into the end of the weekend, and then they start to ramp up again on Monday. But Sunday, if anything, the silver lining of all of this is going to be slightly on the drier side for many of us. So that is the good news and something that we can all really kind of look forward to. So here's the breakdown, at least for your Saturday, if you got those outdoor plans, maybe heading to the coast, seeing those temperatures in the mid-50s to the low 60s, considerably cooler than the mid to upper 60s, even a few 70s trying to sneak their way back into the forecast that we experienced a few days ago, but now cooler, cloudier for us, and we will likely start to see a lot of those winds out of the west-southwest, gustier at times for the coast at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. For the I-5 corridor, also expecting to see some relatively nice conditions as far as the temperatures go. We're talking about upper 60s for McMinnville, Corvallis, approaching 70 degrees. For some of the urban areas, so Salem, Portland, Vancouver, likely going to be getting back up into those low 70s for many of us today. So that's really kind of a great spot to see. And Melinda White just chiming in here on Facebook saying, Father's Day forecast for Portland, please. It's likely going to be staying on the dry side. So let's go ahead and jump right over to that. This is where we do expect to see with the entirety of the weekend that it's going to be nice out. 60s, upper 60s, very comfortable, very typical for the Pacific Northwest. So it's going to feel like a normal Oregon and Washington day for Father's Day. If anything, we'll be slightly warmer on Father's Day and slightly drier. But for Saturday itself, likely going to be stormy at times, if not kind of soggy out there. So plan accordingly as we get those temperatures back up into the 60s. And I do want to take us, maybe you're traveling out towards, say the eastern half of the state. That's where we expect to see those temperatures into the 70s, 80s. We've already climbed up into the 90s out east multiple times. The sunshine will slowly start to be eclipsed by some of the clouds, and then eventually we'll be able to see some of those temperatures even come down more as that front slides through by the time we get to Saturday with a few spotty showers. For Friday's forecast for the high terrain, this isn't going to be a snowmaker. We're kind of moving out of that zone. If anything, we're going to keep the melting conditions. With the rain showers that we expect to see, that will likely also help to speed up the melting process. Less than ideal when we're talking about the fire potential, but nonetheless, seeing Government Camp at about 55, Hood River quite nice in the low 70s with those increasing clouds. Now, let's get you to the 7-day. That's where we expect to really see some nice weather for us, and we'll take this full so you can kind of get the full picture of everything. We are expecting to see temperatures, again, tomorrow in the 70s. For Saturday, mid-60s for us. That thunderstorm potential maybe in the morning towards the afternoon hours. Sunday, Father's Day itself, a high of 67, so slightly warmer out there, comfortable for us. But maybe a hit-and-miss shower for the start of the day, drier in the afternoon. So if Dad wants to go out, golf, fire up the grill, likely going to be on the comfortable side for us. It's not until about the sunset hour that we start to see maybe a raindrop or two start to fizzle out for many of us. The rain ramps back up again on Monday. I'm liking this because of the pollen. It's really going to help to wash out our skies, reduce the pollen count. So if there's any day to forget the allergy medication, likely going to be on your Monday for you after we see some soggy conditions Saturday, a few hit-and-miss showers on Sunday as well. And then as we work our way into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back up into the upper 70s, low 80s. So for those of you who enjoy the summer-like weather, the good news is it does return for many of us. We just got to wait until about the beginning and middle of next week. But overall, Father's Day really shaping up to be kind of nice, maybe less than ideal, not as good as what we got to experience back on Mother's Day, but overall very solid. Everything for everybody type of forecast for us here in the Pacific Northwest. So that's kind of our breakdown. Again, you can go ahead and comment on Facebook. You can also always make sure that you are going to our website, KOIN.com. This is where you can get the latest information on La Nina Watch is on. When will we feel it in the Pacific Northwest? We could potentially be feeling it this weekend. You got to click on the link to actually find that out. You can also watch the latest weather forecast if you missed out on this or just want a quick little blip of it all. KOIN.com, your go-to spot for the latest weather updates with Portland's most accurate weather forecast, and also get the latest sports and news updates. There's been a lot kind of turning around here in our newsroom, but you can also make sure that you tune in on KOIN 6 News today starting at 4 o'clock with Jenny, Todd, and myself, and we'll get you going for the latest updates as we approach the holiday weekend for all of the dads out there. So happy Father's Day in advance. And that will conclude this KOIN 6 Now update. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll take you out with a beautiful view out towards Seaside as those clouds continue to increase.